video is going to be on founder and laminar. Okay, so this video is going to be on founder and laminar wedges, okay, which some people don't recognize. Farriers hardly ever recognize there's a laminar wedge in a foot. And, okay, this is a laminar wedge. You see this right here? This is stretched lamina from founder and laminitis. And it can also happen mechanically. What happens is, okay, now your coffin bone is right here where my finger is. Should be right here, up next to the wall. Tight lamina connection. That lamina can stretch and build up like this. Now, we want to look, a lot of times people say their heels grow a lot, but their toe is not growing. Part of the reason for that is because of this here. And also I want you to look at these horn tubules up in here. You'll see they should be growing from the coronary band straight down like this. Instead, they start growing here, they curl up and around, and then they go down. And that is from the foot that should be right here being pushed back like this. When that happens, also the back of the foot that's right here gets pushed up. Alright, so, and a lot of times what you'll see in founder is the real long heels and the toe doesn't seem to grow. And I'll show you that on this pony here. Okay, so if these horses are going to be saved, okay, something has to happen to where you can get the wall growing back down, tightly connected to the foot, the coffin bone that's right here. And as long as this is there, that is not going to happen. So, you know, what do? Look at the wall on this. Looked almost normal, but see, instead of having a nice slope to the hairline going down like this, it's almost square. You see that? Okay, what's happening is, as the toe was being pulled back in the foot like that, okay, the rear of the foot was lifting, and so as the wall was growing, it was just growing as the back of the foot was lifting, but instead of growing all of it out and down out here, I mean, some of it came down out here past the heel that you would cut off and trim. As the foot was being lifted up this way, since the wall grows from right here, well, it just started being added to right in here, so that you wind up having a hairline that is equal or longer in distance from here to here as in the toe wall from here to here. You see that? Okay, now you have to remember, what are we dealing with? Two objects, right? One horse's foot, two objects, an internal foot with a lot of weight on it and a lot of pull as well from the digital flexor tendon that runs up the back of the leg. It's connected into the bottom of the foot. Tight, taut pulls, okay? So, well, I don't remember where I was going with that. Anyway, so once this happens, see, now one thing you need to pay attention of is what's going on with your hairline from here to here. Okay, a lot of times you're not going to notice a whole lot in the toe because it's hidden. You see that? All right, and look here. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the manifestations of this, the foot rotating in the capsule. I mean, a lot of times when they talk about this, they talk about coffin bone rotation, but it's not just the coffin bone that's rotating. The whole foot is rotating. And so, you know, I wish I was a little more technologically savvy here. I could make this foot rotate within this capsule without moving these walls here. See, that's what I'd really like to be able to do, so you could see what happens here. But I don't know how to do this, so you're going to have to use your imagination. Just imagine that this wall here stays in place. All right? But we're going to rotate the whole foot, because that is what happens. The whole foot rotates. Let's see, how was I going to do that? Oh, okay, now I remember. Got this right here. Okay, now when the wall in here, the lamina, loses connection in here, whether it's from something they ate or stress or medicine or even mechanical or, inflammation, tearing, damage, like your fingernail being torn away from your nail bed right in here. And so when this happens, okay, there is a very strong tendon up the back of this foot called the deep leg and hooked into the foot down here called the deep digital flexor tendon. There's a video on YouTube where they dissect a leg and they have that thing under pressure and they cut that tendon and it snaps. I'll tell you what, it is loaded. And so if the toe here is too far out, plus there's bad connection, damage, tearing, plus this tendon pulling on the back of the foot here, it pulls this toe down right like that. And all this in here stretches. And that's where you get your laminar wedge. That's where these lamina leaves, you got your insensitive lamina leaves that connect the wall to the sensitive lamina leaves of the internal foot, and they lock together. And then the wall grows down from there, and it should be very tightly fitted. Okay, when all that gets compromised for whatever reason, okay, this deep digital flexor tendon will pull on this toe, as well as the leverage from the ground is pushing up here, so it's being pulled around that way, and this is being pulled up that way, and you get what's called coffin bone rotation, but it is the whole foot rotating because coffin bone ends right about here. See the way I've done this? See how that says heel wall? Okay, this is the part of the wall I was telling you you have to pay attention to. Okay, you can trim it totally out of your horse so that your hairline goes clear down here and you only have a little bit, or when this coffin bone rotates and the foot is pulled back up like this, since it grows down from here, it'll just get square across as the foot is raised. So I'm going to rotate this. Now again, I wish I could keep the capsule, drawn right there and have the foot move within it, but I'm not that techie. So you're going to have to use your imagination. Okay, so this thing starts to rotate. Well, wait. Now, what I want you to notice is how this right here goes up. You see, whenever this toe rotates down, this part of the foot, okay, where the lateral cartilage is here and the heel wall and all in here is going to go up. All right, let's see. And it just happens in little increments, and as a little bit happens, the wall is growing down here, so you're not seeing it, see? Meanwhile, this toe is being pulled out this way, okay, and there is forming a wedge in here of those lamina leaves. When we're done here, I'll try it. So let's get this almost straight up and down. Now, you have to think about, since your capsule right here is staying attached, all right, and down here to the ground, okay, all this capsule is being stretched and pulled apart right in here as well. Let's keep going. Oops, wrong way. I wish we could just do it this way. Okay, now there's several things you want to notice here. Everything is going to change its position. If we were to put it all the way back, like that, okay, look at the shape of the coronary band here. That is at a certain angle, and the wall grows down from it, right? Well, as the foot rotates, this is going to kind of twist over, and it's going to change the form that you see. And you can see, I can see this in Jackie Pony, and that's one of the reasons I know she has a rotated foot. See? Okay, so let's take it back there. Take a little bit more. Okay, see how this changed positions right here? Okay, now it can get so that this foot is, okay, that'd be how your horse would be walking. Okay, now, just a minute here. Okay, so imagine this capsule is still flat like this, but it'd be, well, let's lessen the rotation a little bit. Okay, let me find something to draw with. Hold on. Tool, pin, arrow line, ellipse, frame, highlight. Oh, well, okay. We'll use let's use red. I wonder what magenta is. Okay, now. Okay, where'd that come from? I don't know why that's there. Oh, well. Okay, so originally I wish I could put this thing right back the way it was. Okay, and show this rotated in the capsule. Okay, this wall would have grown up here. Okay, so where about would we be? Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Might be a little closer, but okay, this is now what our foot looks like up here. I should have used a different color so you could see it better. Okay, I could have made it a little longer down here because what'll happen is the sole, you're going to have the sole is going to be very thin right about, right about there in the foot. That coffin bone toe is going to be right there. Okay, so let's get a different color here. Oh, come on. Oh, wrong deal. Pull this back up here. Let's get color. Let's get yellow. Okay. Okay, now the reason it's called laminar wedge because the lamina, the sensitive lamina here, has proliferated. The cells have proliferated. I mean, they're still attached to the insensitive lamina of the wall. Well, the wall would be about, say, this thick. And it's got this sensitive lamina here, all the way up, that are attached to the sensitive lamina, insensitive on the wall, attached and intertwined here with the sensitive lamina. But these go to work to proliferate cells and stretch like this. And they get to stay attached here, right here. And so you get this big laminar wedge in the toe. Now the thing about it is your white line that starts right here, you know, and grows down in your sole that you're going to see right here on your normal foot, this white line often has been stretched forward too, so you're still going to see a clean white line right here.
This is just like I showed you on that really foundered foot. It'll look like your foot is normal. Okay, but what do you want to start to notice? You want to start to notice the fact that the wall that should have been, let's see, the wall that should have been started out here. I kind of messed that up. The wall that started here, okay, that doesn't come detached. It stays up here. See, your foot originally looked like this. Then it rotated. This rotated back. Okay, the toe becomes detached here. This never did become detached. And so this wall, of course, is still here. But what happened, it went from this angle here up to here because it was growing as the foot was rising in the back. I think I misexplained that at the first when I drew that picture. It was a little confusing, trying to figure this out. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So this is what you got going on in a foundered foot. Now, this is why you'll see these lines. They'll be smaller up here at seams of the toe, and they seem to be wider back here, the growth lines. Okay? Because look at the angle now of the coronary band that was over here. See? Look at the angle, how it's tipped down. Now, instead of, let's get another color here. Well, if I can get a hold of this thing. It doesn't want to come up here for me. Stupid. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so let's get another color. Well, what color is magenta? Let's try it. Okay, so I forgot what I was going to tell you. Oh, okay. Okay. Now you notice that just as there is a wedge formed here, right in here. Okay, what is magenta? There is a wedge, big gap forming here. Okay, now you got to remember the whole foot is moving, right? Just as this toe is going back, the lateral cartilage is here going up, but this is all staying attached, this wall right here. Okay, but the original sole and bars that were on this part of the foot down here, okay, this part of the foot is the frog, the sole, the bars in this part of the foot, okay, in this part of the hoof capsule, right in here, okay, the inner foot is being pulled and pushed up and away from the original part of the capsule here. And everything is growing like crazy to try and keep up and stay attached to the original part of the capsule. Now, what I didn't show you, but what I have showed you on other videos, is that on Cat Dancer, this had finally gotten so bad that almost her whole foot under here was detached from the original capsule. She was growing a new frog, new bars, new sole on the bottom of her foot because it had finally become totally disattached. Can you see how, as this once this big laminar wedge is in there, there's no way this wall can grow down connected to the foot. There's just no way. That's why it has to be removed. Okay, to see, the wall is growing out like this. Let's make that real pretty magenta there. There's your wall. The wall is growing out like this. Okay, now until you get this laminar wedge under control, that wall cannot grow down again connected to the foot here. Okay, so So just as you see the size of this wedge here and what we've done, okay, see the size of it there in the foot? Okay, well the same thing is happening down here in the capsule. See, let's see, you're getting a kind of a wedge shaped here as well. See that? All this, and you're not even seeing what's going on at all. And again, since all this part of the foot, the bars, the frog, the sole, back in here, grows from this part of the foot, it can only be shoved up and back so far before it totally disattaches in here. And you'll have, like on Cat Dancer, extreme case, she had brand new bars, sole, frog, growing underneath the hoof capsule here. All right, so we're going to look at another manifestation. If I can find this thing here. Oh, there we go. Here, we'll remove that. Okay, now remember, where's our foot? This is our new foot. Let's put it down here. I want you to see what for sure where the new foot is. Yeah. Remember, this is all hidden from view. Okay, this is the new foot right here. That was the old foot. See there? Okay, so I want you to, obviously there's some things that I've learned that you can see going on the sole too. If you know the truth about how the things are connected on the bottom of the sole, you'll be able to tell some other signs. Okay, so here is Jackie's 2 feet. And over here we have the one. Okay, now you see how this is very flared out here. Okay, now all I did to this foot here, you know, one thing that bothered me was the horn tubules here are going to follow this direction. So what I did, I dressed down the toe like a farrier would, but then I added Vet Tech epoxy to stabilize this toe so it wouldn't, you know, push out. Now, just a minute here, we'll get some doohickeys. Okay, let's do that. Yep. Is that gonna work? Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so from what we just looked at, okay, one thing I want you to notice is this up here. Look at the shape of the coronary band. Okay, how it's tilted forward. This shows us that our foot, well, from that tilt, I would think that this coffin bone, I mean, I marked this like this because I mapped the foot, but I'm kind of guessing there. But looking at this tilt, you can see that the coronary band is tilted. See, over here too. See how it's tilted? All right? So it's tilted, so we know that the coffin bone is pretty much growing like this. See, right in here somewhere. Okay, it's not growing as we wish it would, connected to the wall right here. See, that would be how the foot should be, but that's not what's happened. Look at the raised hairline. See what tilts? Not just the coffin bone. Does the coffin bone just rotate? See, that is such a misnomer. Okay, because it's not the coffin bone that's rotating. It's the whole foot. The coffin bone is attached to a foot. All right, the whole foot is rotating. The back of the foot is coming up and the front of the foot is coming down. Okay, so again, look for this being puffy, kind of tilted, um, things like that. So you can see that in both of them. Okay, now notice, notice that if I take and draw a line from here to here, see that looks like there's quite a flare in there. See this part of the foot from here to here? That's a flare. Well, farriers always, when they put a shoe on a horse, once they tack that shoe on, they're going to dress this wall down so that it looks like it's not flared. See, they would take off all this right here to make this wall look flat. But we know there's a lot of damage going on in here because hairlines do not go like this. Hairlines should be about like so. See, you don't want a 30-degree hairline, but I'd say between 15 and 20 degrees, right in there. See, same thing over here, but this one ain't quite as bad. Ain't. You see that? Now this foot has fared a little better in some respects, and I'm going to show you some manifestations of that. But when I did this, I only did across the toe, and as you remember, the laminar wedge goes clear over into here. It's a half moon shape, remember? It's less, not as thick over into here, but it's still over into the side of the foot. All right, let me see here. Okay, let's look at the bottom of the sole view. Okay, there's sole view on that one. Okay, there's the sole view on that one. Let's get a little bigger. So you can see, because there's one really important manifestation that you will notice when the rear cartilage and everything of the foot is being rotated upward. Remember, the coffin bone rotated downward, the front of the foot, the back of the foot rotated upward. So it's going to get real deep right in here in the collateral grooves. You're going to have it really deep, while up here around the frog, you're not going to have anything. You know, you're going to have no depth up here at all. And the apex of the frog can look very, very, very flat. Okay, another thing is, now, let me get a pen here. Don't really want magenta. Let's use green. What the heck? Another thing is bars. Okay, bars grow from here, they grow forward, up, and they merge with the sole in here, and you will have a lump right here that is on the underside of the coffin bone. Now, in this foot, you can kind of see that lump, and you can kind of see where the bar merges up into here. Okay, but notice how it's weird on this side, and there is no lump. Okay, now look over here. Look how the bars just terminate. Boink, boink. They just stop, right? Okay, you don't see how usually, you know, in front of a bar, you know, it kind of merges into the sole, and then there's that lump, right? And then you'll see some depth, like over here, you see a little bit of depth right here in the sides of the collateral groove. You see that right there? Over here, not much. All right, now what happens? What happens? Now the bars grow from the bottom of the foot, right? So when that foot is being pushed and forced upward, okay, the bar that's growing from the cartilage, okay, is also being shortened. You'll find in a founder foot that the bars are real weird. They just end, boom, like that. instead of kind of smooching up into the sole like this. Like here you can see that this bar is still growing forward and kind of smooched into the sole right here, and you'll find a little bit of a lump here. Well, you know, that foot is being picked up and separated away and off of this part of the foot. You'll notice that, oh, what is that? Why does that want to be there? I haven't figured that out yet. You'll notice that, oh, I have no idea. And it's in my way. That's what's really irritating. What is going on? Here, let's stop this for a second. I don't know why that other deal insists upon being there. Okay. Okay. I think I got it figured out. Let's get my pen again. Okay, I got rid of that. Now another thing you're going to notice. Okay, look at the central the bars again, they're just going to end instead of, why do I have a circle? Let's just use a pen. Okay. The bars are just going to end instead of continuing to grow forward and then merging with the sole in here, where you usually find a bump. Why is that? Because what they're growing from and what this is all growing from here has been disattached, maybe not totally disattached, but it's being pulled up and away from where it's connected in here, its position. All right, see again, look at this one. This one kind of looks normal, like a normal bar there. Okay, this one is kind of just wanting to end and terminate, but look at this foot. They just stop right there. See, they should not look like that. Okay, another thing you're going to notice, because remember, what does it affect? It affects the bars. We already saw how it affects the side of the wall, right? Okay, in the side of the foot towards the heel, how the hairline gets square. Okay, so another thing it's going to affect, like I said, you're going to have really deep collateral grooves here, but you're going to have no depth at all up here. And also the sole and the toe is going to be very strange. But another thing that is a sign is your central sulcus right here. Now, the part of the foot that this grows from is being shoved and pulled up and away from this right here, right? So what's that going to do? That's going to give you a really weird looking hole. A real weird central sulcus. Sometimes they get mushy and hairy looking. Now this one isn't as bad. Look at this one here. This is the foot though that I kind of worked on to get the breakover back and stuff. And the heels aren't as long as on this foot here. But look how the central sulcus looks a little bit more normal here. See there? Okay. And notice also the apex of the prog protrudes a little. This one's just flat. There's nothing there. See that? So anyway, so these are some signs that you can look for in laminitis. All these different little things. From the whole foot rotating in the capsule, you see? See, this is what they haven't seen. They have not seen that it's not just coffin bone rotation. Okay, the coffin bone is attached to a whole foot, and when the coffin bone rotates in the front, down and back, the back of the foot rotates up and forward. That is what happens. It's just like a doorknob. You're turning it, you know, it's rotating. All right. Well, now the question becomes, oh my goodness, what do we do about this? You know, I can't say I have all the answers to that. I mean, but here, look at this. At least you got to know what's wrong before you can ever figure out what you may be able to do with it. Uh, uh, I've seen how people do resections and stuff like that, but for a horse owner, um, and not being a farrier and not being a vet, uh, that's a really difficult thing to you know undertake. Let's face it. Okay, so is there a way to fix this without taking off myriads of hoof? Without making the horse really sore or putting the horse into a worse state when you're trying to fix it. And if you don't fix it, what's going to happen? So these are the kind of things we're going to explore. I don't have all the answers. I'm just learning what some of the problems are. You understand? So, I've got to do a lot of looking at these feet and decide what I may be able to do to help this pony regrow a healthy foot. Because see, once that laminar wedge is in there like that, it's there. That is basically dead hoof. There is not a tight connection. There is this lamina is stretched. Let's see. Oh, this lamina, I probably can't use that now. Can't use paint. Okay. I don't think. Maybe I can. Okay, this lamina is stretched at least that much. Do you see that? Okay, now here's where you can see a little bit of the stretched lamina right here. Right in here. All right, but in truth, this lamina is stretched at least to here, going up into the foot towards the coronary band. Now, not only that, let's see here. Okay, not only that, but, okay, remember it's half moon shaped. Goes like this. Probably not quite like that. I'm not sure how it quite goes in her foot. I need to keep looking at stuff to figure out how much of this is laminar wedge. I know the foot has been pulled up pretty severely, so how much dead laminar material is in this foot? And how can I remove this to help her grow a new hoof capsule? Now, look at this right here. I know she's still got laminar wedge right in some of here. Well, it'd be, see, I took off this much toe. See? When I dressed down her hoof from the front. So I brought the brake over. This is her better foot. Okay, but it's still got problems. But I only did this part of the toe. Here. See, I never did anything over here in the sides where there's still laminar wedge. See? So, I can't say that I can tell you I know what I'm going to do. I know that whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to have casting available. I'm going to have Vet Tech super fast available so that I can support her foot and stabilize it if I take anything off. Because see, it's not always what you take off. It's like this. A horseshoer. He can come along. I'm smacking a lot, aren't I? A horseshoer, he can come along and he can trim a foot to put a shoe on it. All right, prepare it for a shoe. But then if he doesn't put a shoe on it, that horse is going to be lame. All right, that's why when a farrier does a pasture trim, he leaves a lot more wool and sole than he would if he was preparing that shoe for a foot. So, because they don't want to trim your horse and then have him go limping off. All right. And so, even if there's a lot of distortions and everything else, once they take out that sole and rasp down that foot, they got to put a shoe on it. That's what keeps the horse from looking and being sore. Okay, but if you were to take the shoe off, the horse would be limping or very, very, very tender footed. This is the way it usually is. That's why usually when you're going to take shoes off a horse, you take them off and you don't even trim the foot, as long as it's not really bad, for, a week or so. You let the foot get used to not having a shoe on it and then you trim it. All right, so it's the same thing when we work on a foot like this or any other. If you have got to do corrective trimming, because that's what this is. This is not barefoot trimming. This is not natural hoof care. Okay, this is understanding the anatomy of the hoof capsule and how it got screwed up, how it's growing, how to get it back to growing correctly. That's what it is. This is corrective trimming. It is not barefoot trimming. Okay? And so we don't want to leave a horse barefoot. We don't want to take off something because, see, this stuff kind of gets solidified and stabilized. All right? And yes, it's damaging the foot more and more as the days go by. Okay? But the horse's foot has adapted to it, and there are these things within the foot that go to work to kind of shore up and stabilize everything and hold it together. And so the horse isn't in abject pain. We don't want to do something that's going to put the horse in pain. Okay? If we're going to take away anything from this, we better put a shoe on it. We better put a cast on it. We better put some epoxy. We better do something to make sure that we are stabilizing whatever it is that's left of what we take away from it, because this stuff is all stabilized on the foot because it happens in little increments. It's like a big giant scar holding the whole thing together. So, to work on these horses and to try and help them while at the same time not understanding this and, not using casts or epoxy or shoes or boots or whatever it takes, to help stabilize the foot so the horse isn't sore while you are doing the correction and trying to help the horse grow his foot. Well, to not do that is abjectly cruel. And if it comes to the place where the horse even needs shoes to stabilize that foot while he is growing a new hoof capsule, that is what you need to do. See? It's about the horse. It's not about your ideas of what you think is natural. And see, what's happening is a lot of people are just decimating these feet and forcing these, taking all the support away and then forcing these horses to walk on their soles and do all kinds of crazy things, and people's horses are just sore constantly, and there's so much bad advice out there. If I tear my fingernail halfway off, I want a Band-Aid on it until it grows out. You know why? Because I could hook it on something and rip it off. So if I do that, I'll give my fingernail some support. My God, these horses and their feet, you better be ready to give them some support right away. Okay? Now, here's the disclaimer. I'm not going to suggest that you do anything that I'm going to do. All right? Or that I may do. Okay? These are, but, You knowing this stuff, you knowing the anatomy, you understanding how things go awry, and the hoof capsule distorts, and these laminar wedges in the back of the foot raises up and separates and all this stuff. Okay, this will help you see and make decisions. See? For your horse, whether working with your farrier, your veterinarian, they work for you and you can't let them forget it. Okay? All right. And, or if it's something that you can't even get, this is a lot of times the truth, you can't get your farrier or your vet to do because they think they know everything half the time, won't listen to the horse owner because you're just an idiot and you know nothing. Okay, but see, the horse owner is the one they should be listened to because we know if that horse moves an ear wrong, okay, we know something's up. you know we are very astute to what's going on with our horses and their feet and their moods and everything. Okay, and so we're pretty sick and tired of these experts not listening to us. Maybe there's times we really don't know what's going on, but we know something's wrong. But here's the thing: the experts should know what's going on, and unfortunately, because of their schooling, they don't. And these people go through these schools, and then they're given a degree that says you are God and you know it all now because you have a degree. And so a lot of them have a lot of pride and they will not listen. And plus, they've also been taught exact opposite things on many occasions. So sometimes they're hard to work with, but hopefully things will change. And people will be more innovative and willing to, expand their minds a little more. All right, so I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm leaving out. I'm sure there is plenty. Okay, I was going to talk to you about a new method of mapping that I think is going to be very profitable called the Berge. I can't remember his name, but he wrote a book. It said, and it's called The Hairline Tells It All. Okay, I heard of this book a long time ago. Well, now he's also got a natural trimming book. Yes, how about that? And he's an old farrier from up in South Dakota, I believe. Anyway, he's got this mapping that I really like when I seen it, because according to what I see going on of the whole foot, it just totally makes sense. You see, okay, so I'll explain it to you here a little bit. Okay, in the normal mapping, they either use the dimple, like, okay, we'll take Gene Ovanek's mapping. Uses the dimple, okay, and the widest part of the foot. Now, of course, this is a foundered foot, so the widest part of the foot would have normally been up here, but since the rear of the foot's been pulled back, it's clear back to here. You can just barely see that bump that's been pulled clear back to here. So the widest part of the foot really is right about here. Okay, should have been up in about here. All right, so, but again, what? The rear of the foot's being pulled back and up, right? So it's not going to be in the right place. So in his mapping, we would find the frog dimple and the widest part of the foot, and then we'd measure an inch forward, about so, and then from there we'd measure another fourth and an inch up forward, and so maybe it comes out about the same. I don't think so. Okay, let's see something here. In Berge's mapping, he goes clear back here to the bulbs. Okay, then he measures from here to the widest part of the foot. Let's see. Let me find my handy dandy ruler that I hold up to the screen. Okay, I'm going to measure this. You can't see me measuring it because I'm measuring it on the screen. And I've got 7.5. From here, 7.5. So I guess it comes out about the same. Except for one thing. I'm not measuring any of this. This is all guessing. Okay? If I was doing it Gene Ovanek's way, let's see, how would I do that? Okay, I would mark the dimple right here. Then I would go up and I would find the widest part of the foot, okay, the widest part of the foot, which is about in the center here. Well, look, the widest part of the foot's right here, right? Look there. But we know that her foot is all cattywampus. So the widest part of the foot is right there. Then I would measure up an inch right here. Then I would measure up another inch right here to the end of the coffin bone, another fourth of an inch, come here, to the end of the sulcorium, and the breakover would be right here. See, the foot would look normal, except for one thing. These bars aren't going up here to the middle of the foot. See this on the capsule? This is the middle of the capsule, but remember, where's the inner foot? That toe's been pulled clear back to here, right? That's how much that toe has come back. Okay, so got to remember that. These mapping systems, there's a lot to them. So this is why I like the Berge method, all right? Because if you're finding the bulbs, you're marking from the bulbs forward to where the middle of the foot is, and you're determining, well, I'm not determining the middle of my foot anymore by where it's widest here, okay, or by what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this little deviation right here in the coffin bone. Okay, that shows me where the center of the foot is. If that has disappeared totally, then you're in trouble. Okay, so this originally the middle of the foot would have been right up about here. See here? And the bars would have continued up to here. But because this foot has a rotated foot on the inside, okay, it's pushed all this back to here. So that deviation in the back of the coffin bone here, I can faintly get it right here. So on the inner foot that is pushed up, separated, it's about right here. So he takes the end of the bulbs, which I like. That's a good idea, because guess what? Bulbs are part of the foot. As well, the buttress from the heel wall goes up under the periopal like that to support the bulb. So back here shows me where my real foot is. All right, so again, measure from the end of the bulbs up to the true center of the foot, internal foot. Remember, it's been pulled back. Before all this happened, it would have been right about here. All right. Then you measure forward. What did I say that was? About 7.5. Okay. So 7.5. That's right on the money. That is the size of the horse's foot. And I bet this will tell me about where my laminar wedge is, too. If my toe is pulled back to there, so I bet all of this is laminar wedge, just like what I was showing you there on that hoof capsule. Okay, so there's a lot more to do here, and I really like this Berge method. Yes, yes, yes. Because here's the thing. Using the Gene Ovanek method, this frog apex is all over the place. Okay? And guess what? If the internal foot moves, these lumps can disappear. Yeah. Okay? So, they are one constant most of the time, but not if the foot is rotated. Then they'll just kind of be sucked up and disappear. Why is that? Because the bottom of that coffin bone is being lifted up off the sole here, so they're going to disappear. They're still there. They're just way up in the foot and further back. Okay, so here's the difference we're going to look at. We're going to quit calling it coffin bone rotation. We're going to call it foot rotation, because when you call it coffin bone rotation, all you're looking at is the coffin bone, right? Okay, you won't see the signs of this rotation and this laminar wedge developing here in the toe In the toe, where you will see the signs, I believe first, is here in the hairline with these lines here. Excuse me. Okay, so this is how the foot would normally sit, but the way it's sitting in her, and one way you can tell again is the alignment of the bony column there. P1, P2, P3, well, P3, P2, and P1. Short pastern bone, long pastern bone. Okay, so we're going to take here, we're going to set this foot inside how it relatively should be. Okay, about like so. Now this wasn't the best foot either because he had a jammed up hairline right here. This should have been relaxed a little more. Maybe, I don't know. It's early in the morning. Okay, so that's about how it should be. Now notice the distance of the wall here. The wall would have been growing down from here straight down to there. See, you look at the bottom of the foot, the sole can look the same. But what's happening is this foot is moving and being pulled up in the capsule. Okay, let's put this back here. Now let's take this one. And I tried to get it so that it would follow the angle of this bone right here. P1, the long pastern bone that is kind of tipped and bent forward. See, because the horse is walking on its toe. Okay, you see that? Now you can't make it, perfect with this. But you can see how the hairline is raised right here. Let's take this one and put over the top of it so we can see. Okay, see how much the hairline raised there? From here to here. That's pretty interesting. So foot rotation, a new term. I don't know why, but in all these studies, they never add the rest of the foot to the coffin bone. It's like the horse doesn't have a foot, he just has a hoof capsule and a coffin bone. They never think of that. There's a whole foot attached to this little bone that's in there. Okay, let's look at that again. See the way the hairline raises. Okay, now why does it do that? Because it's growing down from there. So as the foot rises, it's just doing its thing. It's just growing. All this happens in little increments. It doesn't happen overnight. But because people don't look at what's going on back here. Just a minute. People don't look at what's going on in this part of the foot. And this is a really important part of the foot right here. Oh, come on, knock it off, you stupid thing. Right here, this wall, the heel wall. Okay? Think of their heels as just this little bit right here. Okay, this whole area is heel wall. And part of your heels. That's why when I think of the heels, I think of this whole, not only underneath, going over across the bar, all the area of the bar, from here over to the bar, underneath, all the way back to the heel buttress, all the way up through the periopal where the wall is hidden, then all the way up here, and then all the way here. That is your heel. You understand? It's not just this little bit right here. You're always wondering, how high should I make my heels? I get that question all the time. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. Okay? Because the heel encompasses that whole area of foot there. And so what I've noticed is that this area here can really change. You know, you can so over trim that your hairline should be like this, and your heel, stupid thing, your heel that should have this much, well, okay, this much wall in it right here. Okay, you can so over trim it that eh, that it has, well, let's use red. It has, you over trim it and it just gets less wall, less wall. Come on. Okay, look at how much wall is in those yellow markers there. They get so over trimmed by trying to lower that hairline that you take the wall right out of that heel and you pull the lateral cartilage. All this right here, remember, all this is soft cartilage and can move all over the place. You can so over trim, not watching that wall. So this area right in here, it can increase, it can decrease. But you look at the foot here, it should have a certain amount of wall in it, right? Okay, so you can trim it totally out in just little increments. You're just taking it out to where you only have that much right in here. Okay, well, the foot is so dynamic, you're setting all these horn tubules at the wrong weight-bearing angle when you do that. So, and I have seen where you can add to and take away from this very easily. Okay, and then when the foot rotates up and back, if you leave heels high, okay, then this can start happening as well. It just goes up and down. It's like a barometer for foot distortion and foot health. Right here in the back. See? So we would want, let's see here. Okay, we would want our tubule, everything to be in alignment with this inner foot. The hoof capsule to be in alignment with the inner foot. You know, the hairline growing from here. Should be more like that. He was jammed up right here, and it really affected his coronary band. See how it's pushed up right there? So let's make that thicker. We would want our hoof capsule, Aves, not to be like that. We would know something was wrong there. Okay, what's going on? Let's draw a hoof on here. Okay, should go down about there. Okay, let's make it nice like that. Okay, and then toe down like so. Come a little past, give it some sole. Let's see, how do we want to do that? Let's just do it like this, because, okay. And come over here. We want that angle. Pretty much like that. This distance here should be about, right at the back, at least 1/3 of this right in here. Okay, so So then you have, on this foot, you have horn tubules that grow down at a certain angle. It should be about the same angle as the toe here. See? All the way back. Ideally. But most of the time here in the heel, they get pushed forward like this. Now, what happens to the weight bearing when these things get pushed forward? See, it all affects the hairline here. Okay, so your heel is right in here. That is your heel. See? And so when you trim all the heel out of your horse to where you no longer have any wall hardly over here at all. Just a minute. Oops. Trying to get a different color here. When you trim all the heel out of your horse, right here, okay, it's kind of hard to make this the right way. Okay, it's going to set the weight bearing on this all differently. Okay? All these bear the weight of the foot at a certain angle, at a certain height, with a certain mass in each part. Okay, you can't take this mass out and lower this part of the foot clear down to here. See, that also would lower this foot down, wouldn't it? Okay, more than it should be. This is what they do when they try and do a 30-degree angle hairline to make this coffin bone, force it to be ground parallel, when we know that within the foot itself, the coffin bone does not even sit ground parallel. It sits like this. Let's go down here to the sole corium. It sits within the foot like this, within the foot itself. You see, because the sole corium back here in the cartilage of the heels, under here, it gets thicker as it goes back, which only makes sense because it's the heel, right? You want to pad the heel. Is not that correct? There's your coffin bone. Well, it's a little different than that, but you're getting the basic drift here. Okay, you don't want to take all the heel wall out of your horse here. Okay? Make this coffin bone. Okay, alright, so again, let's undo a bunch of this stuff. There we go. This is what's going on with Jackie Pony. Now, how am I going to help her? I haven't decided yet. I kind of decided on the other foot. I'm not sure if I like what's going on there, because look at how bulged the hairline is here. See, I didn't get enough of that laminar wedge out to free the foot to grow correctly. Free the foot from the hoof wall that's holding. See, once this laminar wedge develops, it just holds that foot in a vise. And everything's going to grow to push the foot right out of the capsule, which is basically what's happening. See, you can see how it would become, the sole is still clear down here. Down here. Okay, that sole's only going to grow so long, and this foot's only going to be pushed back so much before it detaches from the bottom of the inside of the hoof capsule. And that's what was happening to Cat Dancer. Okay, she was growing a whole new set of everything underneath here with the hoof capsule still on there. So, my goodness, no wonder she was in horrible pain. All right, that's all.